Now we're going to talk about solving quadratic equations. When we are solving a quadratic, we are typically looking for the zeros, or what we call the x-intercepts. Okay, to solve a quadratic equation, we're trying to find this value, or we're trying to find this value, the x-intercepts. Now there's a couple ways to do this. One, we could solve by factoring. So if I have a trinomial here, I'm trying to find two numbers that add to the middle, so add to 2 and multiply to -3. So add to the middle, multiply to the last. In this case, that would be -1 and +3. So I would plug these two numbers in there. And then I know because this bracket times this bracket is equal to 0, that means x minus 1 equals 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. And then I can solve each of them and I'll get my answer x equals 1 or x equals -3. This one here, same idea. I could solve this by factoring. So I'm going to use common factoring here. I know 5x is a common factor in both terms. So I'd be left with 5x times 3x minus 1. So that means, this equals 0, 5x equals 0, or 3x minus 1 equals 0. And then I would just solve both of these for x equals 0, x equals a third. Now, there's another way to solve these things called the quadratic formula, which we've seen. So, solve the following. I have x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. A is going to be the number out front, the 1. B is going to be the 3. And C is going to be the -10. So A, B, and C are just the numbers in order here, A, B, and C. Then I take them and I plug them in, so -b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And then here I just operate away and I get my answer at the bottom. So remember, I have two possible answers. The quadratic kicks out this plus minus. I break it into two steps. I do the plus part and I get an answer, and I do the minus part and I get an answer. So it's kicking out two answers. And these would be my two solutions here. Now the radical in the quadratic formula, it controls the kind of roots that the function has. And we have to be careful with the quadratic formula. Remember, this thing in here, this root, when we introduce a root, we have to be careful with negative roots because we can't find the root of a negative number. So we have to kind of watch this part. So what we call this part of the quadratic formula, under the radical sign, we call it the discriminant. So basically, if I use my calculator and the numbers under the radical sign are positive, they're bigger than 0, and I know I have these two real roots. Okay. If the numbers under the radical sign are 0, I have one repeated root, or two equal roots. And if the number under the radical sign is negative, then I have no real roots. It means that the function doesn't hit the x-axis. There's no values on the x-axis, so there's no real solutions. So over here, so find the discriminant. So sometimes we're just curious with the nature of the roots. So find the discriminant of this. A is 3, B is 4, and C is -8. I just plug it in, b squared minus 4ac, that's the part under the radical, and I get 112. So remember, just to kind of confirm, if the discriminant is bigger than 0, I have these two different roots. If the discriminant is equal to 0, I have two equal real roots. And if the discriminant is negative, I have no real roots. I don't hit the x-axis. That's it.